If you've just bought yourself a Samsung Galaxy A55 and you want to make sure you set it up the right way on day one, you're in the right place. As with the tips and tricks and hidden features I'm about to show you, you'll be light years ahead of other Galaxy A55 owners who will probably never unlock the true potential of this device unless they see this video. And I know you might be like,
right.
Because maybe you've never seen this channel before. Well, you should know this. I've been using Samsung Galaxy devices since the Galaxy S3. That's 12 years of Samsung Galaxy expertise you're getting right here. Now, with that said, in the words of Anakin Skywalker, join me and together we can rule the galaxy. So one of the first things I always do with pretty much all Samsung phones is this. Go into the settings, scroll down until you see advanced features here, and here you'll see side button. Now by default, when you double tap the side key, it will quick launch the camera. When you hold the side key down, it will wake Bixby. Now you have to ask yourself a question, are you ever going to use Bixby? Because if you're not, then you should 100% do this straight away. Change Bixby to the power menu. That way now when you hold the side key, you get the power down, restart, medical info and emergency call options. And the other thing that I always changed on day one is this, the quick launch. So instead of the camera, I go to open app, and here I change it to Google Wallet because that's my preferred wallet. And now that it's set up, next time you're in the shop, you want to pay for something, you want to bring up your loyalty cards, just double tap the power button, jump straight into the Google Wallet. It's super efficient, super easy, and very, very useful. So when you get a new phone, the first thing that most people want to do is personalize it, make it their own. And I do recommend you do that. Here's how you can do it very easily. Just pinch the home screen anywhere you want, go to the wallpaper and style icon here at the bottom. Here you have the option to customize the home screen wallpaper and the lock screen wallpaper. Or if you go to change wallpaper here, you can actually change both of them at the same time. At the top, you'll notice you have a bunch of featured ones. And then if you scroll down, you'll have your photo gallery, and there's some other categories here to choose from. And if you really want to, you can go to get more wallpapers, and this will take you to the Galaxy theme store. Now, the problem with this is most of these are paid, but there is a way to find free ones. Here's how you do it. Go to top, and then here where you have the little drop down arrow, you can now filter the wallpapers to the free ones. And there's some really, really cool ones here, including some video animated live wallpapers. So it's definitely worth exploring these options within the Galaxy theme store. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to use one of mine, the very popular Wolverine wallpaper. If you guys want this wallpaper, just leave me a comment and I'll send you a link to it. And as you can see, we can set it as the home screen and the lock screen. If we want to customize the lock screen separately, we just untick it here. We can move it around into this where we want it to be. And if we want, we could even add frames and effects to the wallpaper. But I'm not going to do that for today. Just going to hit done. Okay, so now we've customized the home screen wallpaper. Let's customize the lock screen. So the same way we did before, just pinch on the home screen anywhere, go to wallpaper and style, bottom left corner. And this time, instead of going to change wallpaper, we're actually going to tap on the lock screen itself, and it jumps straight into the lock screen customization window. Here we can jump straight into wallpapers if we want, but what I really want to show you guys is the widgets and the customization options that you have that most people will never probably even know about. So if you tap the clock, you can actually customize the size of the clock. We can make it massive. And then down here underneath, we could change the style of the clock to something completely different. So go through these and decide which one looks the best to you, which one you prefer. Once you've chosen one, make sure you choose a color that contrasts nicely with your background, because you don't want to have the clock there being washed out by the colors behind it. And you have a bunch of different color palettes down here to choose from. And if you want to, you can get really granular and actually choose the exact color using the hex code. Now below the clock, you'll see a little plus and the word widgets. My recommendations for these is your alarm clock, because it's good to know that you actually have an alarm set. Sometimes I think I've set an alarm and actually it doesn't go off, and then I'm late for pretty much everything that day. So having a little reminder here on the lock screen is very useful. Also, the battery status can be very good, especially if you have lots of Samsung devices. And we've still got one more space left to use. And I'm going to add the Samsung Health. So this will help you keep track of your steps. And this will be even more useful if you have the Samsung Galaxy Watch. Once you're happy with the setup, you just hit done at the top. And there we go. We have some widgets on the lock screen. Now, there's a couple more things I want to show you here. Also on the lock screen, just below the widgets we just set up, is the little notification icons. If you tap that, you can actually change the style to detailed if you want more information instead of just the little icons. And with this, you can actually adjust the transparency as well. So you can actually make it completely see-through, and that looks pretty cool. So play around with this, see what works well with your background, and once you're happy with it, hit done. We'll jump back into the lock screen one last time now, because at the bottom here is a very important field of information which most people will never fill out. So here at the bottom, if you tap contact information, you can add some details which could be very useful for somebody if they find your phone and they're not a complete and actually want to give you your phone back. So you can put an email address or phone number or something like that. And at the bottom of the lock screen, you'll see the phone and the camera icon. These can be customized to other shortcuts. So think about what you might need to use very quickly on a daily basis, and you can remap these to be those. The way they work is when the phone is locked and you wake the screen, you can drag inwards and that will open the app. Okay, so now we've customized the home screen and the lock screen. Next thing to do is customize the user interface. So we pinch on the home screen again. We're going to go to wallpaper and style again. And then here you'll see the section that's called color palette. And you'll see by default it's actually switched off. When you enable the color palette, what it will do is try to match all of the user interface with your wallpaper. And it does give you some options here to choose from, and you'll get a little demo here at the top as to what they would look like. I particularly like this one, it's quite nice, and we can swipe across and there's even more. But if you want to be even more selective of the color scheme on your phone, you can go to basic colors here and you can choose solid colors, and if you swipe across you can choose two-tone colors which also work really nicely, but ultimately it comes down to your personal preference in regards to the colors. Now here's a tip that will save you tons of time in the future when looking for apps. Now if you swipe up on your home screen, you get your app drawer. You probably already knew that, but when you look at this app drawer, there is no particular order. What the phone does by default is try to predict what you're going to want to use next, which can work sometimes, but sometimes it's just bloody annoying. So what I like to do, and what I recommend you do, is hit the three dots in the top right corner here, go to sort, and change this to alphabetical order. This way, whenever you open your app drawer, you know roughly where things are going to be because they're in alphabetical order. So this, in my opinion, is far better than even typing the name of the app in the top, because you know the rough placement of the app when it's in alphabetical order. So one of the nicest things about the Galaxy A55 is it has this big, beautiful screen, and having just 4 icons per row is a little bit of a waste of space because you can have way more stuff on the screen at one time, which means less swiping, less scrolling around, which means you'll save time. Here's how you can maximize the space. Pinch the screen, go to settings. This jumps straight to the home screen settings page where you can change the size of the home screen grid. When it comes to large phones like this, I always change the home screen grid to 5:6. And it could also be a good idea to change the app grid also to 5:6. So now I've got all this extra space. There's a whole lot of empty here. So let's do a little magic trick. Okay, so this is what my Samsung Galaxy phone normally looks like once I've added all the apps and things like that. But you'll notice there's a lot of empty space up here, and Samsung do add this weather app by default, which is okay, but there are better widgets out there. And here's how to add them to your home screen. So pinch the home screen. At the bottom, you'll see this, widgets. And here you'll see a bunch of widgets that you can add to your home screen. Have a little scroll through these. There's some recommended ones at the top. Find the ones that you like the most and add them to the home screen. The first thing I usually do is add a clock. And you'll notice the color scheme here is matching the palette that I selected earlier on in the video. If you want to change the color theme of this particular clock, you can go back to the palette and change it there. And there's still more room for more widgets. So explore the widgets menu and have a look at which ones could be useful for you. Right now I've got the Google search bar right here, and that's pretty much it. But if I wanted to, I could add more stuff behind this search bar. It is called widget stacks, and to create a stack is very, very easy to do. Just hold your finger down on a widget that you've already placed and you'll see the option to create stack. Here, it'll open up a menu with other widgets that can be placed on top of this one. And some of the most useful ones, in my opinion, is the device care and also the digital well-being. So with the device care, it gives you access to quickly clear the background usage on your phone right there from the home screen. So I'm going to add that one. And there it is. And now I can swipe back and forth between the Google search and the device care. Now, if I want to add more, just hold the finger down once again, go to edit stack once again. scroll across and hit the plus. I'm going to add the digital well-being, just for example. Now, one very important change you should definitely make on day one if you're going to create widget stacks is this. When you're creating a stack, you'll see the option underneath for auto rotate widgets. You should definitely turn this off, because if you don't, it will just randomly spin around when you don't want it to. And remember, you can also create widget stacks for bigger widgets as well. The same way I just showed you. Hold your finger down. Once again, you get the option to create stack, and it will only show you the apps that can be stacked on that size widget. Okay, so here's another personalization tweak that you should make on day one, because it will help you recognize what the notifications are on your phone more quickly. Jump into your settings menu, scroll down to where you see notifications, and here you'll see notification pop-up style. Tap that. Now you have the option to switch this between brief and detailed. I personally prefer brief. I don't need the entire message popping up when I get a notification. But what I really want to show you here is this, the edge lighting style. Here you get a bunch of different notification styles that you can activate. So when the notifications come through, you'll see these little animations behind the little pop-up at the top of the screen. And here's where it gets a bit more fun. You can actually even customize the color. By default, it will be on auto, but if you want to, you can specify the color, and you do have access to the full color spectrum here. But there's also the option to change the transparency of the pop-ups as well. So play around with this, see what works for you. And also you can extend the duration that the animation stays on screen for. And my personal favorite notification lighting is this one, the spotlight. It just kind of lights up the top of the screen. It's subtle, and it's just kind of like a gentle reminder. And here is another tip, staying within the same notification pop-up style menu that we were just in, is to set up color by keyword. Now here, what you can do is set a keyword. For example, if I put my own name, just for demonstration purposes, and hit plus, what I can now do is select a color that the notification will appear in whenever a message comes through with my name included. So the best way to use this is to set up all your family and friends' names and assign different colors to those different people. That way, whenever you get messages from those specific people, you can recognize who it's from based on the color. And this is especially useful if you've set up a little animation pop-up like I just showed you in the previous tip. Now, something you should definitely not overlook on day one is the security of your device. All the tools you need are right here, but most people don't even use half of them. So I'm going to show you how to make the most of the security features on this phone to make it easier to use and safer for you on a day-to-day basis. First thing to do, jump into the settings, scroll down, security and privacy. Now, when you first access this page, it will scan the device and alert you to anything that needs to be looked at. We will come back to this shortly, but the first thing I want to show you guys is the biometrics. So when you set up your phone the first time, there's a good chance you maybe only set up one finger. So what I recommend you do here is register your first finger and thumb on your lead hand, and also your first finger on your other hand. That way, no matter which way you pick up your phone, you can unlock it very quickly. The Galaxy A55 does allow for 3 fingerprints, so you might as well use them all. And if you want to make things even quicker, if you go back one step and go to face recognition, you can register your face as an unlock method. One thing to keep in mind with the face unlock on the A55 is it is a 2D face unlock, so it's not quite as secure as the fingerprints. All right, now onto another security tip. Let's scroll back down all the way to security and privacy once again. This time we're going to address that one suggestion that's highlighted here. If you have more than one suggestion, you should definitely take a look at those. But as standard, you should see this one here, app security. So if we tap this, you'll see we have the option to turn on app protection. I do recommend you turn this on. This might be a region specific feature because I know McAfee's not everywhere in the world. Essentially what this does is it scans all installations on the phone, and you can scan periodically to see if there's any vulnerabilities or suspicious software on the device just by scanning the phone from here. This just gives you that added peace of mind that there is no viruses or dodgy apps installed on your device that shouldn't be there. Once again, most people probably won't even know this is actually on the Galaxy A55, so now you're not one of those people. Okay, so the next security tip, staying within the security and privacy page, all should be green here now. If it isn't, you need to look at that. But the next thing I want to show you is this, the auto blocker. So the auto blocker is switched off by default, and you should probably switch it on day one, because this will scan for any malicious software being installed on your device, not just via apps that are online, but also via a wire. So if you happen to lose your phone one day and somebody tries to plug it into a computer or something like that and load some software onto it, they won't be able to do it. Also, it reduces the risk of you getting viruses just by using a random cable that could potentially be holding a virus on it. And I'm not trying to scare you, I'm just trying to say it probably is a good idea to switch this on. Now, this might be a stupid question, but do you ever use other people's Wi-Fi networks or public hotspots, for example? If the answer to that is yes, then you definitely want to do this next one. Go into your security and privacy settings once again. Scroll down to where you see more security settings. And here you should see secure Wi-Fi. Now, this won't be enabled by default. If you hit continue here and continue again, what you now have access to is Samsung's own kind of VPN. You do get 1 GB free per month, and you can subscribe for more if you want to. What I recommend you do here is turn on auto protect Wi-Fi, because with this enabled, anytime you connect to a public hotspot, it will automatically switch to secure Wi-Fi, which encrypts the data from your device that's being seen on that public Wi-Fi network. And trust me guys, public Wi-Fis are really hotspots for hackers because they can intercept your data and capture information about you that you don't want them to have. So with this enabled, you can prevent that from happening. But if you're using more than 1 GB of data, you might want to upgrade the subscription plan here. And the great thing about this is you can also switch it on and off as and when you want to, just by hitting protect. But there's even an easier way than that, which I'm going to show you in a moment. So stick around. Okay, here's one more very important security tip, something you should put in place on day one within the security and privacy settings page. This time we're going to go to lost device protection. And these are the default settings within this menu. And straight away you'll see here that send last location and offline finding are both switched off. I do recommend you switch these on, but it's important to remember that if you do turn on offline finding, even when your device is switched off, it's still going to ping the location to other Samsung devices around you. And that's essentially how it can be found. Every time someone with a Samsung phone walks past your phone, wherever it might be, that location will be updated and you will be able to see exactly where it is. Okay, now let's move on to a tip that's a little less serious, but can definitely improve your experience with your phone. Jump back into the settings. This time we're going to sound and vibrations. Here we're going to scroll down to sound quality and effects. And on this page, by default, you'll see that Dolby Atmos is switched off. Also, Dolby Atmos for gaming is switched off. I do recommend you switch these both on because it does improve the speaker quality on this phone immediately. And the great thing about this is we can set up a quick shortcut to enable this and disable this from the home screen without having to jump all the way back into this menu. And I will show you how to do that in a moment. Another quick setting that you can change to improve your user experience and also just the general appearance of the home screen is this. Go into your settings, go to display, go to navigation bar. Now here you have the option to enable swipe gestures. For me personally, I prefer swipe gestures because it eliminates the distraction at the bottom of the screen here, and it immediately makes the screen a little less cluttered. It's very easy to use. It's just swipe up and hold for your backgrounding. You swipe in from the left to go back, swipe in from the right to go forward. Very, very simple. And in my opinion, it just makes the overall user experience a little more fluid, a little more clean. So I do recommend you test out the gesture navigation as opposed to the buttons. Next tip is designed to help you protect your eyes. So dive back into the settings, back into display, and here you'll see an option called Eye Comfort Shield. So if you tap this, you can enable it and actually set it to adaptive, so it adjusts to the lighting around you at that time of day, or you can set it to custom and set it to schedule sunset to sunrise. That is the setting that I'd recommend, but you can go in and customize it very precisely to when you would normally get ready for bed, and ideally for 1 hour after you wake up the next day. So do think about setting this one up because it will help you sleep a little better. Okay, so that last tip was designed to help you protect your eyes. Here's a tip that's going to help you with your ears. Scroll down once again to sound and vibration, and scroll down again to sound quality and effects. Now at the bottom of this page, you'll see this option, adapt sound. It will be switched off by default. If you enable this, what you can do is specify your age. Now these are just templates and they're just guessing what your hearing's like. But if you want to be more precise, then you want to do this. At the bottom of the adapt sound page, you'll see add personalized sound profile. This will take you through a hearing test and properly test your hearing abilities. And once you've gone through that, it will produce an EQ that will help you hear things better when using earbuds or headphones with your Galaxy A55. So one of the standout features of the Galaxy A55 is its battery life. And actually you can make its battery life even better if you use these next few tips and tricks. So check this one out. Go into your settings, go to display. Here you'll see light mode and dark mode. By default it will be on light mode, but if you go to dark mode settings here, what you can actually do is set a schedule sunset to sunrise, just like the blue light reduction feature I showed you before. Now the advantage of doing this is when in dark mode, the screen is using far less power. So for example, here within the settings menu, all of this area at the top here is using no power. Only the areas that are lit up are using power. It is a small amount of power, but if you use dark mode all the time, for example, those little bits of power will add up. Okay, here's the second power saving tip for you guys. Go back into the display. This time we're going to look at the motion smoothness. Now here, it will be set to adaptive straight out of the box. If you're the type of person who really wants to get the maximum battery from your device, if you set this to standard, it will lock in the refresh rate at 60 Hertz, which isn't quite as smooth as 120, in fact half as smooth, but it's still good enough for most people. This will save a ton of power. Also, if we go back one step, something that you want to activate is the adaptive brightness. I've switched it off for this video so it's not constantly shifting and ruining the footage. But the adaptive brightness will also help save power by turning down the brightness when it's not needed. So make sure that's enabled too. And here's the third battery tip for you guys. Go into your settings menu again, go to battery. Here you'll see battery protection. This is switched off straight out of the box. Enable this, tap on it, and here you'll see a few different options for different kinds of scenarios. I do recommend having the basic one on. The great thing about this particular setting is once your phone is fully charged, 100%, and is still plugged into the power, it will actually allow the battery to run down to 95% before recharging again. If the phone is constantly charging, that's a quick way to kill the lifespan on your battery. So this helps prevent that from happening. The adaptive setting is also very good, especially if you're the type of person who charges your phone overnight, because it will only charge to maximum based on your estimated sleep time. So it kind of works out your patterns and will charge the battery accordingly. Now, if you really want your phone to last a very long time, you might want to set this to maximum. This will limit the maximum charge on the device to 80%. So it will never go past 80%. For me personally, I'm going to leave it on basic. For you, have a think about your charging patterns and what would work best for you. Okay, here's another tip. This is kind of a power saving tip, but it'll also help your phone run more smoothly on a regular basis. Go into your settings, scroll down to device care, scroll down and you'll see this, auto optimization. So with this enabled, what your phone will do is occasionally, at very specific times, it will restart itself to clear all of the usage in the background on the device. And you can set it to auto restart when needed or auto restart on schedule. I would suggest when needed. That way, if your phone starts running incredibly hot for no apparent reason, it will literally just sort itself out by restarting and rebooting afresh. So it is a good idea to switch this one on day one because it will help your device run more smoothly. Okay, now let's talk about one of the most underutilized features on the Galaxy phones, in my opinion. It is the edge panels. So that's the little bar here on the side. When we swipe it out, you see we have a bunch of apps. We can customize those apps by hitting the pen down here. But something that I think a lot of people will never do is actually customize what edge panels you have. So to do this, just swipe out. You'll notice the little settings icon pops up at the bottom very briefly. If you tap that, you now have options to add more edge panels. Some of the most useful ones, in my opinion, is the Smart Select. Also the task or the weather can be very useful. And of course, this one, the compass. Now check this out. When I go back, I can swipe out the edge panel, swipe it again for the Smart Select, swipe it again for the weather, swipe it again for the compass. You do have to calibrate these first for them to work properly. And one of the greatest use cases for edge panels is actually how easy it makes the split screening. So if you bring out the edge panel, let's go back to our apps page. Let's say I want the Google Play Store at the top here. I can just drag it onto the top half of the screen and then straight away I can choose something for the bottom half of the screen. And if you find there's a particular app pair that you're using all the time, if you hit the three dots in the middle, you see the little star icon. If you tap that, that actually saves that app pair either to the home screen or to the edge panel. So you can set up nice little split screen presets using this method. Now you probably noticed at the beginning of this video, I didn't change the lock screen wallpaper, and that's for a reason, because I wanted to show you this. There's a very cool feature here within Samsung devices. Pinch the home screen, go to the wallpaper and style, go to wallpapers, and at the bottom here, you'll see dynamic lock screen. Now, if you tap this, here you can download different wallpaper packs for this dynamic lock screen. So every time you pick up your phone, you'll have different pictures, and there are a bunch of different categories here, and these images will change every 2 weeks. So if you're a cat person or a dog person or maybe even a rabbit person, you can download a pack of images that you'll probably appreciate. And also, if you want to add even more, you do have a shortcut to the Galaxy store here at the top. Let's go with the art ones. Now that we've customized the lock screen, I want to show you guys another little hidden secret on the lock screen. It is, if you tap the clock at the top, you get a bunch of different widgets, and we can actually even customize the widgets that we have here. And to do this, all you need to do on the lock screen is double tap the clock. That opens all of the widgets. At the bottom of this page, you'll see settings. You'll need to use your biometrics to get into your phone. And then here we see all of the widgets that are enabled and the ones that are disabled. So if there's anything here that you want to be in that widgets list, you can just switch it on. And at the top here, if you hit reorder, you can drag these up and down. Once that's done, whenever your phone's locked, you can literally just double tap the clock. And there we go. We have quick access to the button control, the voice recorder, and whatever else we chose to have. Now listen, nobody likes to be sold stuff continuously, and nobody wants their information to be sold to other advertisers so that they can try and sell you stuff too. Well, there's some really useful new features here within the Galaxy phones and also other Google Android phones that most people don't know about. Here's how you find it. Go into your settings, go to security and privacy. At the bottom of this page, you'll see more privacy settings, and scroll down again. And at the bottom of this page, you'll see ads. Now on this page, you have 3 options. If you go to add topics, as you begin to use your phone, it will start to populate a list of topics, which you can then disable to say that I don't want to see these kind of ads anymore. But you will have to leave this enabled for a little while for it to create that list of categories for you to choose from. All right, here's another little security tip for you. It's a good one to set up on day one. Go into your settings again, go to security and privacy, more security settings, which is just under the auto blocker. And here you'll see at the top, secure folder. Now, what this does is it creates a folder within your phone that can only be accessed with a PIN or fingerprint from you. Once this is set up, you can place sensitive files and information in this folder that only you can access using your biometrics or a very specific PIN that you've set up specifically for that folder. And using the File Explorer, you can move files and documents and things like that into this secured folder. Now, one of the advantages the Galaxy S24 has over the A55 is the fact that it does have Samsung Galaxy AI built into it. But that doesn't mean that we can't supercharge this phone with its own AI using ChatGPT. To do this, all you need to do is download and install ChatGPT from the Play Store. Make sure it's all set up properly, and if you want to truly get the most out of it, you should upgrade to ChatGPT 4, but you can use it for free with ChatGPT 3.5. Now, once you've got it all set up and installed, what you can now do is tap on one of your widgets, edit the widget stack, and add the ChatGPT widget, which I've already done here. Just going to delete it and add it again so you can see how to do it. Go to ChatGPT, tap, add, and there we go. Now we have quick access to AI right here on the home screen, but we can actually even go one better than this and add a voice assistant which utilizes ChatGPT to the quick settings menu. So check this out. We swipe down again until we see the pen here at the top. Now hit this pen, and here's a little bonus tip for you guys for making it this far. If you go to the quick settings instant access, this enables the top right corner of the display to bring down the entire quick settings panel in one swipe as opposed to 2. So you might want to switch this on. Anyway, on this page, we're going to go to edit here for the full menu, swipe across, and now here we can add the ChatGPT quick setting. And if you want to make this even easier to find, we can actually drag this all the way across so it's one of our top settings. And now with this set up, we can literally just bring down our quick settings, tap the ChatGPT right here, and we have a ChatGPT assistant ready to go, just like the Google Assistant, just like the Gemini AI, except it's not Gemini AI or Samsung Galaxy AI, it is indeed ChatGPT. And check this out, I had a full-on conversation with ChatGPT earlier today using the widget, this little headphone widget here. If you fancy a chat, you can literally just ask it questions and have a conversation with it. It's pretty crazy.
That does sound pretty cool. What kind of questions should I ask?
And when you upgrade to ChatGPT 4, you can utilize your camera functionality with ChatGPT, and you can also send images to ChatGPT, which it can talk to you about and things like that. It's pretty damn advanced, to be honest. Maybe even more advanced than Galaxy AI. Now here's the last tip for you guys, and it's definitely something you should set up on day one, and it is to fully customize the quick settings menu with the most important shortcuts, which probably will include some of the stuff I've shown you in this video. So now we set up the quick instant access. I can swipe down here, brings down the entire quick settings menu, hit the pen at the top here, go to edit for the full menu. And now at the bottom, you see all of the quick settings that haven't been set up yet. For example, secure Wi-Fi. When we need to use that on demand, we can literally just access it from here. Dolby Atmos. If for some reason the Dolby Atmos is sounding a bit tinny or not quite right for what you're watching or listening to, you can quickly enable it from here. And a secure folder for when you want to access those locked away files very quickly. And remember those charging features that I showed you earlier on in the video, for example, when you're sleeping and it kind of locks the charging speed. Well, if you add this one, battery protection, to your quick settings, you now have quick access to all of those options without having to find it in the settings menu. You can just swipe down, top right corner, swipe across, and there we go, we have everything there. And straight away for the battery protection, if you hold your finger down on it, we can switch between these different charging modes. And of course, I've saved one last bonus tip for you guys that's going to help you assess where you need to be in your house if you want the optimal Wi-Fi speeds for your phone and also for your other devices. And actually this could really help you decide where your modem should be or if you need extenders. Check this out, go into your settings, go to your connections, tap on Wi-Fi, and in the top right corner, if you tap the three dots, at the bottom of this page, you'll see this option, Intelligent Wi-Fi. If you tap this 6 or 7 times, it will open up the Connectivity Labs hidden settings. And once this is opened, you can dive into here and we have a bunch of tools for assessing the Wi-Fi networks around you. And the great thing about this is using this, you can actually inspect the Wi-Fi signals in your house to see if there are any dead zones. So just go to Home Wi-Fi Inspection, start this. It will take you step by step through how to test the Wi-Fi signals in your house. And this will give you a very good idea of whether you need to upgrade your modem. And I have actually made a bunch of videos about Wi-Fi 6 modems. One of those videos on screen right now. And if you want to learn more about customization of your Samsung Galaxy device, I've made a few videos about that, and those thumbnails are also on screen. And if you got any value out of this video, a little thumbs up and subscribe would make my day, and I would greatly appreciate that. And if you've just done that, I will see you in the next one. Don't be late.